If you ever had a chance or the unfortunate chance to be locked up in a jail or a prison, one of the things they do is they keep it cold for germs and the spread of germs. Late at night, it's cold. The worst predicament to be in a jail or prison is to have no covers. It's very cold at night. You got no covers or just a thin sheet, you get very cold. Reminds me of the slaves coming in on the ship, cold water splashing on them, hard, ice cold water. They ain't have no covers. It was freezing late at night. I was explaining it to my son one day, and he said, "Dad, you the same way. You cold when you're delivery. You hard." I said, "Yeah, like no covers." He said, "Yeah, that's your name, no covers."
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another edition of No Covers, One Mic. I'm your host, Dawood Alameen, coming to you out of the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. We want to welcome all of the listening audience coming in tonight. Especially want to give a shout out to the overseas audience. As I stated last week, we are on several different platforms now. Matter of fact, let me get them on the platform. I'm talking about them. I need to make sure they're on. And yeah, as I stated last week, we're on several different platforms now. And one of them enables us to go overseas to an overseas platform. We've got some new folks in this week. We already had Gambia. We've got some folks listening now in Ghana and Senegal, and Gambia as well, and Tunisia. We also hit some people out of Tunisia. We got Belize, New Zealand, and Australia as well in our listening-based audience, and some other countries that have tuned in as well. So I want to welcome them to the platform tonight, and welcome you all that are listening here in the city of Wilmington, North Carolina, and throughout the country of America. House cleaning business, I got to get out the way first. David Walker's appeal, as always. People have asked why the website, if you go to nocovers.org, talks about the David Walker Foundation, where David Walker and No Covers is connected. So again, I always want to talk about the David Walker's appeal and get you excited about that and what we're doing. The No Covers Gambia mission. My friend Frankie said we asked not. I have not because we asked not. So I'm going to make an appeal tonight, especially at the start of this show. You see the ticker that says No Covers Gambia mission. I want you all to, this show contributes directly to that. The webcast contributes directly to that. The anchor broadcast contributes definitely to that. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the donation button. Because what we're doing over there is very important work, and we want you to be involved with what we're doing. Meet some of the families over there in the city, in Gambia, etc., and have fun with us. What we're doing, we're trying to feed families over there. We're trying to support families over there. Again, we picked Gambia because it's one of the poorest countries in Africa. We've been over there to visit. Hopefully, inshallah, going back in June for another visit to set some other things up. The internet over there needs to be worked on, so we're going to work on that going back and continue to work on the school that we're sponsoring and the children that we're sponsoring over there. So again, hit the like button, hit the share button, or hit the donation button. Keep hitting the donation button. Thank you all that have contributed. I had a sister last week. I wrote her back to thank her, and she said she gave a small donation, and she said I wrote her as if I gave her $1 million, and I told you did. You did give me $1 million. If you had $5, that's $1 million to us on what we're doing. So hit the donation button and continue to support No Covers Gambia mission. Tonight's subject is about outrage. And this came about, I need to tag Derek Anderson in this post because I was on his show, typed something on his show the other day about why folks are not outraged on the educational system. But it's not just the educational system. Folks are not outraged, period. And there is a reason I'm going to explain why folks, the masses of people, are not outraged about issues that we think they should be outraged on. Sometimes we be in this fight and struggle and say, where are the people? Why we don't hear the outrage? Where they at? And you're going to tell me that they were outraged last year, but I'm going to prove to you they wasn't. I'm hopefully show you that they wasn't really outraged over the police brutality that we saw going over this country. There's a reason why they came out in the streets in mass numbers. But when it comes to education, when it comes to housing, when it comes to economic disparity, when it comes to contracts and things like that, we don't see the masses of people coming out. And there is a direct reason for the masses. And it's not that they don't care. It's not that people don't have a care or concern about the issues that we have and we hold dear to our heart. The reason why the masses of people, and I explained this yesterday, and I want to clear up what I said yesterday. That's why I hope Derek Anderson was on the show tonight. The main reason why people don't come is about economics. Economics is the reason why the masses of people are not moving on voter rights, this voters' right bill. We don't see the masses of people getting out in the streets about this voting right bill because it really doesn't affect them. I explained in the show the other week, the voting rights bill doesn't affect them at all. It affects you and I and how we vote, but the masses are not coming out in support of that. I want to give you some figures to look at tonight to help you understand this. This is out of our Berkeley article that was written. And it basically shows how we define the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. So I'm going to start with the middle class. He says straightforward, defining the middle class is based on income thresholds. Any class is based on income thresholds. The median income of 2020 for what is considered medium income for the middle class was $50,000 to $135,000. $50,000 to $130,000. If you're in that range, you're considered in the middle class. In the upper middle class, it's $106,000 to $373,000. That was what we call upper middle class. Lower middle class is about $32,000 to $53,000. Anything under $32,000, you're poor or near poor. Anything under $32,000, you're near poor. Look at these numbers now. And anything over $373,000, you're considered rich. Everything in this country is based on income. And here's the reason why. Let's go with education. That's what I talked about last night and posted last night. I want to clear on what I was saying about education. Because here in the city of Wilmington, we have a debacle school system. It ain't just started that way, folks. It's been debacle. It's been in disarray for a long time. In this city, we had a conservative control Republican board for years. And we had a messed up school system. In our city, we thought once we got a Democratic control board, it was going to be better. Still the same. And folks cannot figure out why it's gotten worse. To be honest with you, it was better when the Republicans were controlling than the fiasco that we see here in our local system. And it's a reason why. It's based on economics. I'm going to say that again. It's based on economics. When you look at those numbers, the poor only have the system, be it housing, and we're just not going to focus on education. We're going to focus on everything now. Be it housing, be it buying groceries, grocery prices, be it anything that affects us on a day-to-day basis. The poor only have the system. They send their children to school to get a decent education, and they expect them to get a decent education. When they don't, they have very little recourse, very little things they can turn to, because all they have is a system that was guaranteed to give their child an equal education, an equal start, an equal chance to progress in life. Now, the middle income and the upper income have more than the system. They send their children to the same school system. They live in the same housing, not housing that the poor live in, but they live in the same communities. They live in the same cities. They live in the same country. But why they don't come out? Why are they not upset? Why? The question is why are they outraged? Because they don't have to be. They have alternatives. You making $50,000 a year, you have an alternative. You make it $100,000 a year, you have more alternatives. You make $300,000 a year, You just send them to school to get the basics. If they come home without the basics, you're going to make sure as a parent they have the other things they need. Computer systems, proper education tools. If it comes out something to help them with their grades, they need a tutor, you're going to get one. Why? Because you didn't have the money to afford one. You're going to take them on some of the nicest vacations and let them see something other than the hood. You're going to be able to take them to the beach. You're going to be able to take them to vacation spots. You're going to be able to take them to New York. You're going to be able to travel and let them explore and let them enrich their brains and mind. The poor can't do that. The poor just basically try to make it to the grocery store and back. They can't afford the nice luxuries of America, of this society that's supposed to be equal for all, that it's not. So the medium income and the upper income, when you tell them to come out to a school board meeting or when you tell them to come out to a protest or a rally, they don't have to. They can come if they want to, but they don't have to because it doesn't really affect them. Because why? They have resources that can counteract the system that's in place. The system is broke for everybody. The American system is broke for everybody. It's a broke down system. It's a country on its way out. It's a failing country. It's babbling, going down. That's what it is. It's going to total destruction. It's going. Did you thought America was going to survive forever? China's growing, moving at a fast rate, investing all over the world. They moving. Cuba doing good. From Cuba to China. Russia ain't complaining. They have their things they're working on. Human rights people are watching them, but they're not complaining. They moving. America is steady falling, steady falling, steady falling. But the masses are not upset. The masses have alternative resources that counter what you see going on every day. They don't watch the news the way you watch it. Not the masses. The way the poor watch the news is not the way somebody making $50,000, $60,000 a year watch the news. Not the way a person making $130,000, $150,000. Not the way somebody working $300,000. That doesn't affect them the same way. Why? Because they have resources that the poor don't have. Now you're going to say I'm lying. And here's why you're going to say I'm lying. You're going to say, oh, no. But the masses came out last year in the streets. The masses was rallying around police brutality. They cared about George Floyd. They cared about Tawana. They were out in the streets. We seen them. They were blocking roads and trying and boycotting the police. They had even talked about getting rid of police funding. The masses were out there, brother. What you talking about? The masses was in the street. There was a reason why the mass was in the street. And it doesn't have to do with economics. There are several times that the masses hit the street. What is it? January the 6th? We saw an uprising. I started to call this show tonight, We Need a Riot. I didn't call it that because I was afraid Facebook would take me off air and put me on suspension. And the reason why I called it that, I'm going to share something with you this morning. I had a friend call me, a very close friend. And she called me and she said she had a dream. And in a dream that we were working to work out poor housing. We were working with the poor and trying to fix the housing issue and the disparity. And she said that in her dream, after we had spent months doing this, she said, I finally told her, I said, we need a riot. And she told me, she said in the dream, she said, no, Daoud, I can't riot right now. I'm not like I used to be. I used to throw hands back in the day, but we don't need a riot. And she said, I told her, no, I'm not talking about a physical riot. I'm talking about a vocal riot. I'm talking about using that pen as a riot. And that's what we're trying to do now. I'm trying to riot. I'm trying to have a riot when I do these shows to get us to respond and get us to think differently, to respond in a different fashion to what's really going on. Because there's a reason why the masses are not moving, and there's a reason why you really can't blame them. They were out in the streets last year. Same income. You had poor out in the streets. You had upper class out in the streets, and you had lower income out in the streets. Why were they out in the streets over police brutality? Because it directly affected them. Well, I don't remember seeing any of them getting brutalized by the police. No, they had a heart. They had no, it directly affected them. Do you remember the history lesson of lynching? And some of you all listen or were around when lynching was a problem. Do you remember lynching? The masses in the country didn't boycott for lynching. The masses in the country didn't come out and have standoff and protest about lynching because lynching did not directly affect them. The difference between lynching and today, and walk with me for a second, the difference between lynching, police brutality, which was lynching, and today's lynching, police brutality, is that it affects them because it affects their children. You have to understand, America, we've grown now. Your children are dating the upper and the middle class children. Poor people, your children are hanging out with the upper and middle class children. Poor people, they're listening to your music. Poor people, they're hanging out with your children. Poor people, they're going to the same clubs. Poor people, they're wearing the same clothes. Poor people. So late at night at 3 o'clock in the morning, that could be their child in the child with your poor people. So it affects them because that could be their child who got popped on the side of the road. That could be their child who's affected by police brutality. So when they saw George Floyd, they saw the same corner that their children hang out in. They saw the same people that their children hang out with. That's why the masses came to the streets. That's why you had all income levels on the street. That's why you have the masses fighting for that and not education, not fair housing, not voting rights. They're fast for police brutality because they see themselves and their children being brutalized. Because in this new social order, they all hang together socially regardless of income. They all listen to the same music regardless of income. They all walk together regardless and wear the same clothes regardless of income. Even though poor people really don't need to be wearing some of the clothing that they're wearing, where upper middle class wear the same clothing, but they all look the same. You can't tell the difference in them when they wear their clothes. When they go to school, you can't tell the difference. They all look the same. They all dress the same. Why? Because the poor will spend money that they don't have on clothing. You go to the club, you can't tell. The entrance fee at the club was the same. The door price at the club was the same. You can't tell who poor, who not poor. You can't tell the upper class, the middle class from the rich when you go to a club. In social setting, you go to the basketball, football games, the price of the ticket is the same, get in. You don't know who. In social arenas, they're all the same. But then you go back to the hood and they go back on the other street, or then they go back in landfall. That's how it operates. So when it comes to education, they're sending their children to the school, knowing that their children are getting an indecent education, but when they come home, they make sure they get it. In the summertime, they make sure they get the opportunities to better their education, and they know even with a C average, they have the money to send them to the finest institutions in this country, and they make that C average a bachelor's degree and a doctorate degree because they have generational wealth. The poor don't have that opportunity. The poor don't have that generational wealth. The poor end up being in the same housing because they don't have that generational wealth. And the masses are not going to fight for decent housing because it doesn't affect them. They have air conditioning. They have the 2-car garage. They have the lawn cared up nice with the sprinkler system. They already got that. They're not going to fight for better housing for the poor. It doesn't affect them. Why should they? It doesn't affect them. The crime rate in your neighborhood doesn't affect them. The police, they don't have to worry about gunfire. It doesn't affect them. When those people marched on January 6th, it affected them. The other time that they march is when their person don't win. That's when they march. That's when they uprise again. That's when they get angry again. That's when you hit. But the Democrats don't do that. Why? The Democrats don't do it upset because they already know they got your vote. That's tea, by the way. Nice ginger tea I made today. It doesn't affect him. The poor are in that one slot. The middle class are in another slot. The upper class, the rich, are in another slot. You're only going to get them to move together on an issue that affects all of them. Police brutality affects all of them. I just explained to you why. When it comes to voting, the Democrats are not upset. I hear Biden's side talk about the voting rights bill, but he's not pushing it as hard as he should everything else. Why? Because it doesn't affect them. Number one, they already know they got your vote. Been had it for years. You ain't gonna stop voting Democrat. You can control the political order of this country as black people, but you're not going to do that. All you got to do is join an independent party. If all the black folks in America tomorrow would tear up their cards, like they did in South Africa, tear up your cards, tear up your Democratic card, and if you got a Republican card, tear it up too. Forget the 33% rule I used to talk about. I used to talk about 33, put 33 in the Democratic Party, put 33 in the Republican Party, and put 33 Democrats. No, we need 100% independent voters. We need 100% blacks to be independent voters. Get out the party. Stop going to the meetings. Stop going to the party. Stop going to their meetings. Get out the party and become independent voters. If all the blacks, if 90% of the blacks in America were registered as independent voters, you change the landscape overnight. Why? Because now you're going to get the action you need because they're not going to get your vote. They can't count on it. They can't guarantee that you're going to go and vote for a party ticket. They don't know how you're going to vote now. Now they're going to start to pay you some attention. As long as you vote to one party, as long as we stay 85 to 90% of the Democratic Party, we're not getting anything. Nothing. You're going to get what you're getting, pay you no attention. They're going to pay you no mind, as they always do and continue to do. Yeah. 100%, 90 to 100% independent voters. We will change America's landscape overnight. Because now they'll say they woke. Now they'll pay us attention, and both parties will come begging for our vote. They'll change the voter. They'll change those laws. That bill will pass with filibuster my ass. No, ain't gonna be no filibuster. They're gonna make sure you want some water. They're gonna give you water, lemonade, and Kool-Aid. Whatever you want to get in that line because they want your vote. But as long as you keep giving it to them without a charge, I hear women say that. I hear a lot of posts on Facebook, and I'm not being vulgar, but I hear a lot of posts on Facebook where women say that women tell women, you expect them to put a ring on it? You keep giving it to them without a charge? You keep giving them some play, and he ain't put a ring on it. Make America put a ring on it. Make them put a ring on it. You keep giving them your vote without charging them? Make them put a ring on it. Make them put it in writing. Make them guarantee it. The only way you're going to do that is become independent thinkers and independent free thinkers and think for yourself. Till we start doing that, they're going to pay us no mind. And the masses going to stay home. And the blacks that can afford to stay home, they're going to stay home too because it don't concern them. They're not poor. There's going to be a few that have a heart on both sides, black and white. There's always going to be a few that whether it affects them or not, they're going to have the heart to go down there and take care of Tamika and Bebe. They will make sure they're okay. They're going to go to school and do what they need to do. It's going to be only a few. Don't count on the masses because it does not affect them economically. They're going to be okay. They go to bank. They don't have the masses that go to bank. They go to bank. They don't have to worry about unbiased loans, and it don't affect them. They're going to get their loan. Even with bad credit, they get their loan. And you know America's credit is bad as I don't know what. With bad credit, they still going to get a loan. You go in there with your $20,000, $30,000 income. Only thing they want to know is, do you want a savings account? Do you want to deposit some in? Or do you want to cash a check? That's the only thing they want to know from you. Don't ask them for no money because you're not getting any if you're poor. So the banking policies doesn't affect the masses. It doesn't affect them. They go home, they sleep good, they eat good. Until we become independent and free thinking, independent and free politically, and independent and free economically, we're not going to get anywhere. As long as we keep waiting for the masses to come to get us out of something, as long as we keep waiting for a repeat of what we saw last year with all these people protesting and getting in the streets, I just told you, it affected them. You have changed the landscape. I'm telling you, you don't know it until you go outside this country. When you go outside this country, you will see how much you have, as Black people, have changed the whole political landscape, the whole cultural landscape, the whole social landscape of the world. Everybody want to play ball like you, want to play sports like you, want to dress like you, want to do music like you, but they don't want to be poor like you, and they're not going to be poor like you. They don't want to be poor. They don't want to live in a housing project. They'll ride past it quick and lock their doors. They could care less how you living. They listen to your music, sit with you in a restaurant, even go to the toilet with you, even work with you. They live a different life than most Black people live. So keep waiting on the masses. You're in a long way. You've been waiting 400 years for the masses to wake up. They're not waking up. It doesn't affect them. It affects us. But why you care? I care because I'm part of the poor. I don't care how much money I make. I'm still going to be part of the poor. See, I'm not a bougie Negro. I understand that my son still looks the same way Bebe's son look, or Ray Ray's son look. I understand that they all look the same. At 3 o'clock in the morning, that's my son out there. Educationally, I understand, therefore, grace of God go I. My children could have been in the same boat. And I also understand that as a people, if we don't unite together, I don't care if I make it here, unless my name is LeBron James and I shoot a good shot, or unless my name Oprah Winfrey and y'all take this platform and put me on ESPN and CNN, or unless I'm in that top bracket, I understand clearly I need my people. I still need my people to connect. I need my people because we're locked in this together. But the other side, I wish sometimes some of our educated and doctoral and ministerial and imam-like folks would understand that they locked in with Black folks. We kind of locked in this boat together. They only gonna let you win it but so far. You might as well put your 2 cents in with the masses and go to those meetings and help those children. I wish they get there, but they ain't gonna get it. Why? Because they're so busy with the other masses. They've gotten comfortable with their next door neighbor who really don't give a damn about them, but speaks on a regular basis, and they care. They good. They can speak and go to the same. So they're comfortable with going, being able to go to the white church and sit. They're comfortable. And so we're not in that same boat mentally. Become independent, free thinking. We're going to come with a different day. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to try to make it clear what I'm saying. Lynching, police brutality. George Floyd, police brutality. The masses didn't come out for lynching because it didn't affect them. They came out last year because it directly affects them. Those people stormed the Capitol because politics affected them. They don't have your vote. So they stormed the Capitol. They stormed the Capitol because Trump meant something to their party. Republicans are still with Trump and riding with Trump because if the Republicans had your vote, they would tar and feather Trump. And I know a lot of them. I'm telling you what I know. If the Republicans had your vote, hook, line, and sinker, and knew that you was going to vote their way, they would tar and feather Donald Trump because they really don't like him, but they tolerate him because they don't have your vote. The Democrats ain't going to never storm the Capitol. The Democrats ain't going to never uprise over no voting rights. The Democrats going to let that bill sit there and not get passed because they don't care, because they know they got your vote. And they got you hook, line, and sinker. And I'm still trying to, it amazes me politically and historically how we got to this point. Because y'all know King was a Republican. Well, that's a whole nother show how we got to this point that we got in bed with these so-called integrationists that were supposed to make America so great for us. And here we are 100 years later, still looking at the same impoverished condition with a few blacks getting out. Don't wait on the masses, people. Do not wait on the masses, my people. And this just is, since I am there talking internationally, it's just not America. See, I saw this when I was in another country. I saw this in Gambia. They're waiting on the masses. For what? You better not wait over there. They poor, but they already know that upper class government. We just went off wanker. I wanted to continue to talk to them, so I'm gonna have to update this later. That upper class government over there, they could care less about the poor. Economic, unless it affects them, they gonna care. It doesn't affect them. Understand, it doesn't affect them. It affects you and I. Calling for 90% of blacks to join the independent party. Guarantee you, we'll see a change in this country overnight. You'll see a change. You want to change the local school board? Become an independent voter. Become independent. Here, just try it locally and women. Everybody. I want everybody to go down tomorrow morning. Call voter registration tomorrow. Go down as soon as this storm is over with. And y'all brace yourself for this storm. The storm is real. Don't be out there playing around with the storm. Get what you need. If you ain't got it, like stores was probably when I went a little while ago. Get what you need, buckle up. The storm is real. And you all, if it's COVID, don't think it's real. It's going to uprise again. That cold weather coming. People going to get sick. So, hey, bear with. But after this over with, go down to car. Go. Hey, look, put this line, had a line going around the court. What all these people, all black people coming? All these black people coming, they become independents? They're going to be on the phone. Yo, man, you see all this long line of black people? All of them. What they going to be registered independent. What they doing that for? They said they not with no party no more. They leaving us. I can see the Democrats on the phone now. The Democratic chairman, he gonna be calling all his bougie Negroes. Yo, get your people under control. You say we had to vote this year. Oh, he gonna be calling. I can call up some names. I'm not gonna do that. I'm a changed person now. I'm not gonna, but I know who they're gonna be calling. They're gonna be calling some people. Get them in line. Get them in line. Why? Because they becoming independent voters. Why? Now we got to go give them what they want to get their vote. Make them put a ring on it, y'all. That's my 30 minutes. I'm out. Make them put a ring on it. Until next time, it's your brother No Covers. Peace and blessings.